How you doing, guys? Today I'm back on the Flowmaster muffler for the little Mule. Now, I'm sure if you have recently subscribed because you were interested in my 1955 senior restoration project, refurb, however you want to call it, well, that has been just sidelined a little bit. And it's only been sidelined on the basis that it's really cold and I don't have heat in my garage. So to move forward with some body work and priming and stuff to that effect, it's a little bit on hold. I will be going over to my buddy's machine shop to finish weld these rims up, the front rims. I know they're etch primed at this point in time, but they were starting to flash rust just sitting here in the garage the last couple weeks. So I blasted them, etch primed them. I'll just throw them back in the blaster real quick and then just to blast off the spokes. And then we'll finish weld those in. They're like 96, 7, 8% perfect. So I'm real happy with that came out. The steering bars, or the steering links, I should say, they're all set to go. They're etch primed. They need a little body work. The front axle is pretty much all set to go. I do need to install the bushings. That'll be coming up also. The camera's not showing it, but this piece is pretty heavily pitted, so it's definitely going to need some body filler in order to look nice, look the part, look the way we want it to look. But and then obviously the steering knuckles are primed. I will be having a video coming out pretty soon because I started working on the spindles and I machined the lower ends for the wheels. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. I got them both made. But for right now, this thing is a little bit on hold until I can, we get a little bit warmer weather. I mean, if it's above 40 degrees a day or so, then I can kind of jump back on this. And I do have a couple other things I'm going to be working on real quick in order to get that project moving along. But for today, I'm working on the turbo muffler, or I should say the Flowmaster muffler. As you can see, I really dialed in the fitment of my panel. I did cut the hole for the inlet pipe. Basically, all I did was, it's really pretty non-eventful. I drilled a hole, a 3/8 hole in the into the piece of steel itself. Took my tin snips, cut around it, as you can tell, and then I just took a file and file fit the pipe so it goes through. It's not super tight, but it is a little bit snug, so that way I can just weld it in. But before I can actually mount this or start to really dial in the angle of the inlet pipe and how far the inlet pipe goes in or out, I do need to make the internal baffle. And that is basically a plate that I'm going to mount probably right about here. It's going to be an air diverter, so that way when the exhaust gases get expelled into this part, the first chamber of the muffler, they don't just instantly expand and make that horrific pop noise out the muffler. I do want to stop that, so I'm going to put this plate in place. It's 1/8 inch steel, 3 3/4 round. I'm probably going to put like 2 1-inch holes in it and then make kind of like a half moon cut right here, something that's bigger than the inlet pipe, so that way it can expel the gases a little bit slower into the second chamber and then out the muffler. And that typically, from what I've experienced, will give a good, nice deep thump to the motor. So let me get on that. I'm going to basically just lay out 2 1-inch holes. I'll probably take my die grinder and connect the cuts, and then I'll file it so it looks nice, even though you're never going to see it, but I'll make it look nice, and then we'll just go right on ahead and tack weld that in place. After some drilling and filing and hitting it with a little bit of the die grinder with the sanding wheel, I have what I believe is what's going to work pretty good. And I'm going to put it in this position. I'm going to switch my hands on the camera here real quick just to show you. I'm going to put it in this position right about here or so. I just need to figure that out. but I'm going to put the air holes on the bottom, so that way the air has to kind of go along the bottom and then out. So that way it doesn't go, the expansion of the gases doesn't go straight out the hole. That way, to try to eliminate the big snappy sound and more of a thumpy sound that this huge area will give. So I'm going to go ahead, I think I'm going to go ahead and just tack weld this thing into place just to make sure that's exactly where I want it. And then I will probably tack weld the cover on, so that way I could take it out to the tractor and figure out exactly where I want this pipe to be. With the side cover just barely tacked into place in 2 places right there on the corners, it's fairly solid. And the muffler sounds quite solid already. You know, I haven't even done any of the welding. I'm going to take the inlet pipe and the muffler out to the tractor. I'm going to figure out exactly where I want it to sit. I'll bring my marker, make some marks, figure out the angle, and tack it together in order to put it back on the tractor real quick to make sure that's where I want it to be. With just about everything just tacked into place, I have the muffler on the tractor. I think it looks pretty good. The reveal is real nice along the edge of the hood. It does look fairly straight. I do have this piece of wood just kind of holding it up because I haven't made the back brace yet for it. I will do that, just not right this second. I'm still trying to just figure out. I think the front reveal is mint. It doesn't stick past the hood, but it's like right at the hood edge, which is kind of cool, which I like. Obviously, I'll have the heat shield. This will be ceramic coated. So I'm real happy with the way this looks. And I know it sticks out. Like if you look at the back of the tractor, it sticks out on the right-hand side. But I'm going to put my GT14 intake back on the left side. So I'll have my air cleaner sticking out the hood on this side. And I'll have the muffler sticking out the other side. If we take the hood and we just pop this open real quick, you can see that everything's just fairly nice and smooth. I do have to weld that whole thing in. Obviously, this weld has got to go. It's all going to be smoothed out. But I'm real happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple more tacks on the inlet pipe just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to just knock off the 4 little tack welds that I have right here, pull it out, finish welding it all up, put a little support in there, and then weld the baffle in place. Okay, with some welding, I've gotten this to a point where I'm just about ready to put the cap back in. I welded the inlet pipe to the piece of sheet metal. It didn't weld very well. Kind of upset about that. So I'm going to hit it with the die grinder, get that scuffed down. The inside I'm not too concerned about because you're not going to see it. There's a huge gap on this side, so I just welded it from both sides. Not too concerned about the way the weld looks here. Took a piece of band iron and welded the piece of band iron from the, I guess, the inlet pipe to the side, so that way when I weld this all together, this is all one solid piece, and I shouldn't have any rattling or anything. The baffle's welded in. I just spot welded it in place, or just like stitched it together. Again, I wish the welds had come out a little better, but oh well. But it's absolutely solidly mounted in there. It ain't ever coming out. You'd have to totally destroy the muffler. The holes are right there. That should pass enough exhaust gases where we should have a good sound plus good flow. So with that, oh, and then the last thing I got to make is the support bar that goes to the lower section of the engine block. So let me get this thing scuffed down and all of this tacked into place, and we'll take a look at what the muffler looks like. All right. Well, I got everything tacked together. It's just getting too cold to work out here today, so I'm going to call it. But I think it came out pretty darn good. I wish I could get a little better angle so you can see it, but I think it's going to look the part exactly the way I wanted it to look. Again, I do have that little piece of wood just kind of holding it up so it stays fairly straight here. Let me see if I can get you a little better shot of that. So essentially that's what it's going to look like. I did just lay the heat shield on it real quick, just so I can see how it looks in general, but just like the original exhaust system right there on the floor, the muffler itself will get ceramic coated, and the heat shield I'm going to do powder coated glossy black, so that way it matches the rims and it'll give a nice contrast on the side of the tractor itself. Hopefully it sounds good. It should, but you know, only time will tell. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. As for the muffler, I need to finish stitch welding it all together and then grinding it all down so it's all nice and smooth. And then I'm going to use one of my other Magnum engines that I got sitting there on the floor. I'll put the muffler on that engine in order to make the bottom support, or the support that's going to go from the bottom of the muffler over to this bolt. There's a bolt right here, which is really the factory mount for the muffler. But I'm just going to move it to a new area, or a new attachment point under the muffler instead of on top of the muffler like the original was. All right, guys, well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for this part of the muffler build. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the build in general. I will be probably picking at this a little bit over the next couple days in order to get it ready for coating. As always, again, thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you like tractors and, well, wheel horse tractors, that is too, because pretty much that's all I do. If you like that, small engine repairs, small engine rebuilds, transmissions, because this transmission is still not even back in the tractor, please subscribe, hit the bell, and give it a thumbs up if you could. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.